Yeah, like there was any doubt I was going to do a video on this episode. Hello guys, welcome, or if you've already seen my channel before, welcome back. I am the Philadelphia Whovian, and this time we're doing a video on the third episode of the original Star Trek series. Yes, where no man has gone before. And before I begin this video, little disclaimer on the very beginning. Guys, I'm still suffering and recovering from a cold, so you're going to see me cough every now and again in this video. Now, without further ado, let's get into this. Alright, so, where no man has gone before, I said episode 3 of this set, but in truth, the way this happened, the original Star Trek worked. Actually, it turns out there were two pilots for the original Star Trek. There was the pilot on The Cage, which starred Jeffrey Hunter in the lead part as Commander Pike, or Captain Pike. Then, it turns out, there was Where No Man Has Gone Before. It's posted as episode 3 in the season 1 box set, but it turns out it was the second pilot that was actually done, which explains why there was a completely different cast in this than there was in The Man Trap and Charlie X. And it's important to know that because I remember when I watched it, I was like, wait a minute. With Where No Man Has Gone Before, the cast, the crew, outside of Spock, Scotty, and Kirk, everybody else is completely different, and even the clothing is completely different than you get in The Man Trap, Charlie X, and the rest of season 1 of Star Trek. What's up with that? And I was going to ask you guys, when I did this video, what was up with that? Can someone explain to me why this episode did not have a crew from Charlie X as well as The Man Trap? But in my first review, The Man Trap, someone explained to me in the comment section, just gave this information away without me even having to worry about asking first. They said this was the second pilot. So you had The Cage of the pilot, then you had Where No Man Has Gone Before, and then you had The Man Trap and Charlie X and all those other episodes. And I was like, that makes so much sense, because told you, coughing, because with this one, the costuming is very similar to the pilot, but it's completely different from the costuming you see in The Man Trap, as well as Charlie X and other stories that come after this. You see distinct change in costume, and the only crew that you see here from the rest of the season is Kirk, Spock, and this is where I believe we get introduced to Scotty. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's the first time I ever saw Scotty. Again, correct me if I'm wrong if this is the first time that Scotty makes an appearance. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, oh, Scotty, I love you, you Scottish, beautiful, sexy bastard. Scotty, Kirk, Spock. There's just so much a girl has to choose here. Okay, and Where No Man Has Gone Before, I believe, unless I'm incorrect, it was directed by James Goldstone, and I believe written by Samuel Peoples. I think Samuel Peoples. Guys, sorry if my nervous tics of trying to remember things and looking up or down. That's a nervous tick of mine. After watching my videos, I see I do that a lot, where if I'm trying to remember something, I look down, then I look up. Yes, but I believe it's Samuel Peoples who wrote this, but of course created and directed by, produced by Gene Roddenberry. Now, Where No Man Has Gone Before, we have guest stars on top of our main crew. We have guest stars of, I believe, Gary Lockwood plays Gary Mitchell. And that's the thing I wonder. Whenever I see an actor who's the same first name as the character he's playing, I wonder if that's coincidence, or if, like, the writer wrote it, having the exact actor in mind who they wanted to use, and just use the actor's first name for their character. If so, that makes sense, because Gary Lockwood was a fantastic find for the role of Gary Mitchell. And in fact, by the time I was done watching the episode, I kind of wished Gary Mitchell had been cured of his situation, because I really connected to him as a crewman. I liked him. I thought the actor was just so wonderful. And I was like, oh, sometimes I wish that he was cured of the ESP that he got, so he could go on to be a regular on the show. But that was not to be the case. Then we also have Sally Kellerman, I believe, who is playing Dr. Daner. And the way the plot of this goes is the Starship Enterprise, they have received a distress signal from a ship called the Valiant that was lost two centuries ago, and they transport on board an old-fashioned recorder and Spock translates it, and he finds out that the recorder, hold on, coughing again. Sorry about that, guys. Very sorry about this. Sometimes I'm sick. What can you do? What can you do? So Spock translates from the recorder where the captain eventually was frantically researching for ESP, extrasensory perception, trying to research it. But then there were six crew that died. One survived originally, but then you hear the captain ordering his ship to be completely destroyed. Like the captain literally had the ship destroyed, and the ship wasn't destroyed, and the recorder must have been ejected before the ship was fully destroyed. And it's like, whoa, what happened there? But Captain Kirk says, let's go full ahead to research what happened here, because he knows that more ships will come eventually, so he should be the first one to come, so they can figure out what was the situation. So they travel into this area that has this, purple haze on it. Forgive me, I got no other term for this, but purple haze. Thank you, Jimi Hendrix. And purple haze, and they go through it, but then leads to lightning going all throughout the ship, and then things dashboards and communications begin lit on fire, and then lightning streaks hit Gary Mitchell while he's at the helm, and then also hits Dr. Daner. Dr. Daner, she is into psychiatry and about researching how the crew does under stressful situations. And she was described as a walking freezer unit from Gary Mitchell because he kind of gave a flirtatious little jab at her, and she coldly responded in that really icy way. The actress did a good job playing her because, my God, she just radiated icy. But yes, those are the two people who get affected by this slightly lightning storm that comes out of this purple haze. And they both get knocked unconscious. But Gary Mitchell, he comes to, and as it gets rolled over by Kirk, his eyes are silver, they're shining. It's like there's light in his eyes. And he gets sent off to the sickbay to recover, and when they go down there to see him again, not only is he perfectly fine, he's better than ever, and he finds that he has this ability to read things really quickly. He's reading on the monitor to pass the time. He's reading leisurely. He's reading super, super quickly. He also has the ability to project his voice into people's brains, kind of. This unnerves Kirk, but it deeply unsettles Spock, who, the more he analyzes Gary's situation, the more he realizes that Gary has powers that eventually will grow so astronomical that not only will the crew of the Enterprise become annoying to him, but they become unessential to him, unimportant, and a nuisance, and they'll be like mice or bugs to be squashed under Gary's boot. And Dr. Daner, she argues against this, saying the idea of a person having ESP is a great discovery and such an advancement for mankind. Of course, we know she was struck with the same thing Gary was struck with, so we're like, wait, do you have other reasons for why you care for Gary's situation? Any at all, Doctor? Coughing again, sorry. Sorry about that. We're thinking it. And later on in the episode, Captain Kirk says to Spock, he says, okay, maybe he's not dangerous. And what makes you right and a trained psychiatrist, Dr. Daner, wrong? And Spock replies back, because she feels, I don't. I deal in logic. One of my favorite parts of that episode, that line, or that exchange between Kirk and Spock. Absolutely loved it. And also, we get Sulu in this episode as well. And Sulu also, he predicts the astronomical increase of Gary Mitchell's powers. And over time, we see Gary Mitchell have the power of telekinesis, as well as telepathy as well as just also being able to create things, create matter where there was none. So they travel, but also by traveling through the purple haze, the Starship Enterprise engines have been completely just wiped out. Now they're going off of auxiliary power. So they land on this planet that has no people on it, but they're going to use the equipment on the planet to refuel the Enterprise, but they're also going to trap Gary Mitchell down there by himself. And again, Dr. Daner is against this, and initially Captain Kirk was against this as well, but he's just doing what he has to do because Gary is completely shown signs of being willing to overpower everyone on the ship and take over the Enterprise and again squash them like a bug under his boot. Absolutely. To me, something about this episode was just spellbindingly good. To me, this is a story where even if you don't like Star Trek, you have to acknowledge there's something about this that appeals to you. Because when they get onto the planet and they're going to maroon Gary there, there's another segment I really do very much like, where Spock is talking about how, Scotty is on board talking about how they're almost done refueling the Enterprise, and then he says to Kirk, because he's on the ship and Kirk is on the planet, he's like, oh, and did you get that phaser rifle that I sent down? And Kirk said, I didn't order a, and then the door opens and Spock enters with a phaser rifle. Spock ordered Scotty to send down a laser rifle, and Kirk's like, I didn't order and then he sees Spock enter with a laser rifle, and then Kirk just says, affirmative, over and out. That was funny, because it's like Kirk's like, I didn't order anything, and then Spock enters with the gun, and Kirk's like, okay, whatever. Sorry, guys. Still coughing. And then it ends with Gary Mitchell eventually getting so powerful he can push through the barrier they had him in, and then Dr. Daner, her eyes are now silver as well. She has the ESP also. And they go out walking around the planet, and Gary Mitchell shows how he can literally create food, create water with the power of his mind. Kirk goes after him with a phaser rifle because he realizes, he has no choice. He has to kill Gary. And there's a whole showdown that happens between them where Dr. Daner, who initially was on the side of Gary, realizes and comes to reason and realizes Kirk is right. Gary is going to become out of control eventually. So she helps Kirk take down Gary in exchange for her own life. She dies trying to defeat Gary. And Kirk goes back to the Enterprise, and he gives them a good recommendation. A good memorial, where he says to them about how Dr. Daner died with highest honor in the line of duty, as well as so did Gary. And Spock looks at him, and then Kirk says, he didn't ask for what would happen to him, so I don't want that to be the last memory people have of him. I want him to be remembered for being a good guy. And Spock says, I felt for him too. And Kirk replies back with, maybe there's some hope for you after all, Mr. Spock. Episode ends. Again, this is an episode where I just feel like, even if you don't like Star Trek, this is a good episode to you. I also was told, again, those people, correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember speaking with someone on YouTube about this in my comment section. He gave a glorious discussion. We had a very beautiful conversation about Star Trek. But I recall him telling me this was the first episode that aired on BBC of Star Trek, because they didn't know what order to place the episodes when airing them, that Where No Man Has Gone Before was the first episode that aired on BBC. But correct me if I'm wrong. If you who told me that, correct me if I'm wrong, and it actually was a different episode you told me and I got it completely fuddled up in my brain. But yes, if it is, I'm happy it was the first one. It's a story, it's an episode that can really get you into Star Trek. So, I am still having a good time with reviewing these videos and watching Star Trek. It's like just junk food for my brain. Not even junk food, it's just healthy junk food. There we go, healthy junk food for my brain. It's just so fun to watch over and over again. Another question with this one, Where No Man Has Gone Before. The ship that got lost was called the Valiant. In the beginning of the episode, there's a Yeoman there, and Captain Kirk says, he asked her, Jones? And she says, no, my name is Smith, sir. So he thought her name was Jones, but her name was Smith. And if you remember Series 4 of New Who, remember the first episode of Series 4? I'm sorry, not Series 4. Series 3 of New Who was Smith and Jones, and the ship that the Master designed was called the Valiant. Sorry, does anybody know if possibly Series 3, those references were possibly, those things were possibly referencing Where No Man Has Gone Before? It could be complete coincidence. Just let me know, but it could be complete coincidence. Never mind. Who am I kidding? Sorry. Still getting sick. Either way, guys, have you seen Where No Man Has Gone Before? Let me know. And did you like it? Did you not like it? Don't be afraid to talk about it. I'll listen to you, and I'll comment. Guys, thank you so much. You were awesome. Very awesome. Bye, guys.